Isn't it great to see Cruz and Trump go back and forth? Trump is not going to back off. Trump doesn't have to take out a negative ad. He makes it genuine about where he stands with Ted Cruz, not by taking out any commercial, but by just ripping him in every interview he does in the media. And he didn't back off yesterday. Listen to this comment he made with CNN's Wolf Blitzer.
What do you have that Ted Cruz doesn't have?
Well, look, I don't want to knock anybody, but he's got a lot of problems. He's got a problem with his Canadian birth. He was born in Canada. It's a real question. And, as you know, Lawrence Tribe from Harvard and many other lawyers are saying he can't do what he's doing. He's not allowed to run. And you have some lawyers that say definitively he cannot run. That's
Is that why his numbers have gone down in Iowa?
I don't know. I think it has an impact because I think they said 36% of the people agree that he can't run for president. He was born in Canada, and he was born on Canadian soil. Now, he can run for Prime Minister of Canada, but I don't think he can. I honestly don't know if he can run. And there's a question mark. And if he ever got the nomination, the first thing that will happen, the first day, the first week, he will be sued by the Democrats. And that's going to be it. I mean, what are they going to do? Go 2 years and nobody's going to know? It would take years to go through the court system. So he should solve that problem.
See, now, if you were to take snippets of that and turn it into a 60-second ad, you'd have a hell of a commercial. But Trump says, I don't need to do that. I'll just go do an interview and let everybody know where I stand on Cruz. And he's not backing off on his finances either. Listen to this.
In addition to that, he has the Goldman Sachs problem where he borrowed a lot of money. He never said it. Then he borrowed money from Citibank. He never told anybody. He never disclosed it.
He did disclose it to one entity of the federal government, but not to another.
He didn't put it in his personal disclosure form, financial disclosure form. And you got to do that. I mean, you got to do it. He's got two banks. But he didn't do it for a reason. He didn't do it because he doesn't want people to see that he's borrowing from banks that he's supposed to be regulating.
Now, if I was doing this interview, I'd say, well, isn't that bank fraud? You can't go into a bank and not disclose what your finances are and walk out with a loan. This is a problem for Cruz. Cruz just can't say, well, that was a clerical mistake. No, I want to know what financial institution did he go into and get a loan, if this is the case, and then not fully disclose to the bank before he got the loan. That's bank fraud, folks. Okay? You have to sign down to the bottom. Everything you state on this paper is the entire truth and full disclosure. Yeah. Now, if Ted Cruz signed his name to that, you're going to tell me that he didn't know what he was doing? This guy's a Harvard graduate? I think that Trump is right. I think that Cruz has got problems. Now, are the evangelicals out in rural Iowa paying attention to this? Because they are the ones that Cruz is going to be depending on when it comes to Monday night caucusing in Iowa. And Cruz is now coming to the realization, as I've said on this production for weeks, that if Trump wins Iowa, he's going to run the table. Cruz is now talking about that.
If Donald wins Iowa, he right now has a substantial lead in New Hampshire. If he went on to win New Hampshire as well, there's a very good chance he could be unstoppable and be our nominee. So even if you're thinking about another candidate, the simple reality is there is only one campaign that can beat Trump in this state. And if conservatives simply stand up and unite, that's everything.
Yeah, he's saying, come on, you former Huckabee stand-uppers. Come on, you Santorum former stand-uppers. I'm your guy. I don't know if the math is going to work. I don't know what kind of ground game Trump has got in Iowa. A poll and a ground game are two different things. For more on that, let's go to Matt Schlapp. He's a chairman of the American Conservative Union. Matt, good to have you with us.
Ed, great to be with you again.
Break it down for us. What's happening in Iowa as you see Trump continuing his attacks on Cruz, Cruz making a plea to conservatives, come help me beat Trump. What's happening?
I'm afraid that this show will live on and is taped because every prognostication we've all given have all been wrong. So I'm so afraid to answer these questions, Ed. But let me tell you what's happening. There is a complete shakedown of the Republican Party. I mean, all the old rules are gone. And Ted Cruz, who took on Washington, has only been in the Senate a couple years, is really the conservative standard bearer. He is the orthodox conservative. He has, Reagan conservative positions from A to Z. And then you have Donald Trump, who is even more unorthodox and is someone who conservatives really, they like what he's saying. They've got some questions about him, but he is the guy who's saying, look, I'm going to run for president in a new way. So, Ed, you're really watching the Republican Party laid bare with a lot of divisions, a lot of disagreements, and a very open and democratic process, which in the end I think will serve us well.
So why not support the guy who's leading in the polls and get the White House, or attempt to get the White House, and then make a course correction? I mean, wouldn't it be easier for the Republican Party to make their course correction if they've got control of the executive branch? I mean, Trump is way out ahead in all the other states where it's close as Iowa. What do you make of that?
I think if Trump wins in Iowa, I think Ted Cruz is right. If Trump wins in Iowa, I think this is over, because if you look at just all the demographic information, it's very skewed social conservative, which is a very important part of the conservative coalition, and it's very skewed evangelical. And if he can, peel off a win in Iowa, I think this thing is over. So I think your point is, why do Republicans seem to be sour on Donald Trump? I guess my answer would be a lot of them are not sour on Donald Trump.
Well, what do you make of the National Review? I mean,
I was asked to sign that as the head of the ACU and CPAC, and I decided not to. I think in my opinion, it was counterproductive to send the message that somehow Trump is unacceptable. If Trump is the nominee of this party, I'm going to be behind him 100%. And by the way, I think, Ed, I don't know if he pulls in your vote, but he's going to pull in the vote of a lot of people who wouldn't ordinarily give Republicans the time of day. And what is wrong with that?
Well, I've gone on record saying that I don't think there's any question that Trump could function as president of the United States. He knows how to manage stuff. He knows how to get stuff done. He has no problem moving incompetent people out. He's willing to do something different and try it. You can't argue with his business record. Okay, so he filed bankruptcy. A lot of successful people do by following the law. Look, he's a risk taker. And I think that having a risk taker is not all a bad thing. Now, policy-wise, when it comes to immigration, I got to hold the phone. When it comes to health care and Social Security and privatization, he says he won't do it, but there's a trust level there. So, I see Trump functioning as president. It's almost as if, when he goes out and says he could shoot somebody and still get elected, would Trump shoot somebody? No, he wouldn't. He's just being Donald, saying, "Look how far ahead I am." What do you make of that?
I wish he wouldn't have said that. I will be honest with you. I've had some feedback from some people saying, boy, that really turns me off. So, I think every once in a while, I often have said, Ed, he's like Forrest Gump in the movie. Forrest Gump is on the football team. He scores a touchdown. He gets to the end zone, but he keeps running. He runs out of the stadium. And that's what Donald Trump does. He makes a point, but he makes it so lavishly and extensively that he goes too far. One time he said, people shouldn't be speaking Spanish. Well, you know my wife, Mercy. She speaks Spanish to me usually because I've done something wrong. There's nothing wrong with that in America, to speak your native tongue in your household, and that's a good thing, and we should be accepting of those people. And I think he goes too far by saying all Muslims shouldn't be allowed in the country, but his underlying points are completely spot on with Americans, which is, you know what? We've gone a little too crazy on this multiculturalism, and we've forgotten what it means to be an American, and everybody who comes to this country should embrace America. That's his point. And when it comes to his question on Muslims, his point is really, look, why aren't we saying that people who want to harm us should never be able to come to this country? And I think that's a very fair point. So he uses this language, which I think goes too far, but I think his underlying point is connecting with people. It connects when he talks about China, when he talks about Mexico, when he talks about what happens with trade and what happens with these bad deals like the Iran nuclear deal. I think, I heard it I went to New York yesterday and heard it on the train, just, overhearing people's conversations. I heard one guy say, you know what, I just feel like he'll cut better deals for America. That's a fair argument.
Well, it's the political correctness angle that he's taking, and it's also his business background, and I think people are willing to maybe gamble on that. And I think that no offense to any conservative out there, but let's tell it like it is. I think that the conservative movement in this country has spent so much time trying to stop Obama and not thinking about where they want to take the country. that Trump has come in and tapped into a lot of frustration because it's so wide open.
Ed, can I counter you?
Yeah.
Okay, so I know you're not coming after me, but when you do come after me, I always enjoy it, just so you know. But but I think the key is this, which is the Republican Party. There are actually more conservatives in this country than there are Republicans. All the demographic information shows that. And when our Republican leadership told the base of the party, hey, yes, Obama's been elected, just sit tight for 8 years. We're not going to do much, but sit tight, and after 8 years, we'll win the White House, and then we'll be able to kind of push our agenda again. I just think that's unacceptable to them. And I think it would have been unacceptable to Democrats if they had been told that by their leaders. Mm-hmm. I think in a democracy, both sides have to fight each other, and they have to disagree, and they have to take each other on. And I think that the conservative movement has been patient and sat back and watched why they've been told don't fight here and don't fight there. And I think that's why you're seeing them fight so hard and say, we need a guy like Ted Cruz or we need a guy like Donald Trump.
But, Matt, the conservative action has been inaction to block. I mean, you can't deny the record number of filibusters.
I agree. And I think that, look, I think we need a positive agenda. It's not enough for us to go out there and say Obamacare is bad. What the hell are you going to do for these families? You have to have an alternative. You have to have ideas.
I agree. Matt, I want to get you on the tube. We got to talk it over. Good to have you with us.
Great to be with you again, Ed.
You bet. Matt Schlapp, Chairman, American Conservative Union.